Welcome to the second edition of the Outlook Money Insurance Summit. The topic of discussion for this fireside chat is tackling challenges in the rural landscape, and we are in conversation with Dhyanesh Bhatt, co-founder and group CEO at GramCover, which is a rural-focused insurtech platform that is focused on insurance product design and tech-enabled distribution for rural India. So welcome, Mr. Dhyanesh, on the show. And really, it's, rural population and rural insurance, something that is not very much talked about in the industry. And I think it's high time to focus is on this area as well. So I'll go into the questions right away. So what are the challenges that you face in distribution of insurance in rural areas now that you've been working in it?
Right. So at the outset, Nidhi, I would like to say that it's my absolute pleasure to be here at the second edition of the Outlook Money Insurance Summit, where we are focusing on unlocking the next wave of growth. In terms of the challenges that we face in distribution of insurance in rural areas, let me start with a little bit of context. So the global insurance penetration as a percentage of GDP stands at roughly around 6.2%, out of which 3.35% is life insurance and around 3.88% is general insurance. And compare that with the Indian scenario, where the insurance penetration as a percentage of GDP is approximately 4.2%, of which 3.2% is life insurance and just 1% is general insurance. Also, in terms of insurance density, if I were to look at it, which is the premium paid per person, the Indian average at around $78 is almost around 1/12 of the global average. And so what does this mean? It means that India has the 7th largest insurance gap in the world, which stands at a staggering around $27 billion. This is basically the gap between economic loss and insured losses, so to say. Now, to come to insurance in rural India, I think the gap is more significant, here. So almost, if I talk in terms of gross crop area, less than 40% of the gross crop area is covered under insurance. Similarly, livestock and fisheries, which are again very important parts of the rural ecosystem, very minimal insurance is observed over there. And likewise, if you look at asset insurance, or if you look at health insurance, if you look at life insurance, again, insurance's penetration is minimal. Now, GramCover has been working in the area of rural insurance. You rightly mentioned, there are few players who are in this space, and we focus only on rural insurance. We've been doing this for the past 4 years now. And some of the key challenges at the macro level, if I were to look at it, include awareness about insurance in the first place. So people don't know that there are insurance products available which can help them in risk transfer. The second is access. So even if they know about insurance, how do they get insurance? How do they get access to insurance? That is the second problem. And I think more pertinent is the third point, which is the most important one, I believe, is that trust in the insurance ecosystem. So I think it is an ongoing journey in terms of these challenges that we face in rural insurance at a macro level. Specifically, you asked about distribution challenges, and I would say, rural India is so widespread that last mile connectivity is a challenge. Obviously, the purchasing power of a large part of the rural population is again like a challenge. The third is the lack of right set of products which are customized or designed for rural India. So if you have like a 50 lakh rupee cover which is designed for an urban citizen, I think it doesn't really apply for the rural consumer. And last but not the least is the ability to provide service to the rural consumers. So I think these are some of the key challenges on the distribution front.
Okay, you also mentioned the lack of awareness, and I was also wondering because, especially in urban centers, you still have a little bit of awareness coming in, especially with COVID and all of that, about overall insurance. But awareness, I believe, would be a big challenge among the rural populace. So how do you, fill that gap of making them understand why it's important, why should they take it? How do you, encourage the uptake in, in the face of lack of awareness?
Right. So I think it's an ongoing journey for us, and you are right. I think COVID has obviously played a role in creating more awareness about health insurance and life insurance. So there is now, an upward trend, so to say, in these kind of, policies that we see even in rural areas. But at GramCover, when we got into this, we very early, we realized that, we could not have a do-it-yourself model. So there are certain online only kind of insurance models where somebody says, okay, I have put these products onto my website or onto my application. Please come here, select whatever insurance product you want, and we will provide that insurance product to you. But we realized that in rural areas, obviously, that was something that was not automatically going to happen, because obviously awareness is a challenge. So we have an assisted tech model. So what this means is that we have a point of sale partner at the rural level, or at the village level, or at the Gram Panchayat level. This is nobody but, this is basically a person who is there in the rural areas, who kind of lives among them, who understands their psyche, and who has probably a better understanding of insurance, because we basically train them when they come on board as our partners. And these guys then, within the social network that they have, they create engagement with the end consumer. They talk to them about what kind of insurance products are available, how would the insurance product help them in the time of need, and that is how awareness is created in the first place. These people also create access, because using the GramCover application. If we do a lot of work in the government crop insurance program also, and there we work very, very closely, through our point of sale partners with the government at the district level, as well as the insurance company, to create awareness. So we reach out to farmers, we do farmer meetings, we have some of these marketing activities that are going on through which we reach out to them. There's a lot of work that happens on the ground in terms of creating awareness. Apart from this, we have also focused on partnerships. So there are certain institutions and organizations which today work with rural India, through various means. So whether it is aggregation through FPOs, whether it is providing agri inputs, whether it is providing agri advisory, or reaching out to the end customer, there is a lot of work that happens through partners. So to give you a couple of examples, I would say we worked with an agri-tech company to create awareness and access to a parametric insurance product, which would provide financial protection to the farmer in case there is adverse weather, which would lead to germination failure. We've also partnered with an international trade organization, and we provided COVID-specific, benefit health insurance products to the farmers, right when COVID was just getting started. And we have recently partnered with an agri-tech startup to provide a personal accident insurance cover to their farmer customers. And we expect that in the next 1 year, we should be looking at reaching out to more than 6 lakh farmers through this initiatives. So I think partnerships is another mode that we use to work with institutions and hence build awareness through them as well.
Okay. So like you mentioned, digitalization has not, I mean, you didn't mention it, but you were saying that, you do need a person who can make that connection with the, with the locals, to make them understand and understand the products and all. So digitalization, which is a big buzzword these days in the insurance sector, which has been taken up, especially after COVID. So that is not really at play. Would you say that?
I have a slightly different take on this, Nidhi. And, digitalization is one of the key areas where insurance companies are spending a lot more time and resources, especially after COVID. And InsurTech is actually becoming like a global phenomenon. So globally, approximately out of around 17,000 odd fintech companies, there are close to around 1,500 InsurTechs. Similarly, in India, there are close to 150 InsurTechs who are working in this space at the cusp of insurance and technology. Now, in terms of rural insurance, I would say that while the buying behavior is not completely digital, I would say digitalization is one of the key enablers for doing rural insurance in the first place. I think historically, rural India, given the challenges that I just mentioned earlier, has always not got its due in terms of insurance penetration. And I think one of the levers that we leverage, work with has been technology. Let me give you a couple of examples. The most obvious, I would say, play in terms of technology is API integration. So we do API integrations with insurance companies and make their products available on the GramCover application, which is used by our partner to create insurance access. Similarly, by using something as simple as optical character recognition, we are able to get the first level of information about the customer, without doing any data entry and going away from the scenario where there are data entry errors, which in the insurance sector can kind of turn out to be very, very costly in terms of at the time of claim. Similarly, we are able to digitally collect the premiums from the customer. So it could be through UPI, it could be through bank accounts, it could be through we have also created a wallet for each and every of our partner. So using that, our partners are able to digitally collect the premiums and also remit them to the insurance company. At the same time, using the same wallet, we are also able to provide remuneration to our partners in real time basis, so they don't have to wait till the end of the month to say what business we have done and what remuneration we have got, what remuneration we will get. Similarly, in terms of products, there is a lot of effort, or there is a lot of work that happens in making the product seamless. To give you an example, parametric insurance, where we look at weather parameters, which will impact whether there will be a claim under the policy or not. There is a use of satellite imagery and satellite-based indexes in parametric insurance products. Similarly, we are working to do a pilot on livestock insurance, where the identification of the animal is done by the muzzle of the animal. So you go away from the whole tagging of the animal process, which can then make the entire product very, very seamless and intuitive. So there are multiple areas where technology plays a role, and I think going forward, as emerging technologies like blockchain and AI and ML, they kind of become more prevalent and have more use cases in the insurance space. I think there'll be more and more use of technology at the back end, which always will also something that will come as a benefit to rural India. So the buying behavior might still be an assisted tech model, because the end consumer doesn't understand the product as well. But I think in terms of supporting the entire outreach and the access, technology is obviously a key enabler for us.
Okay. So also what I understand from what you've been saying, that a lot of support is going in terms of the work life of farmers, and so whether it's crop insurance or whether it's the parametric insurance that you've been mentioning. But when it comes to individuals, because health insurance and life insurance are some of the covers that we always say those are must-have covers for individuals, whether it's an urban dweller or a rural dweller. So what about that? Do you also are you also expanding in those areas, or is it just crop and other work life areas of a farmer that you look at?
So Nidhi, we started a journey with crop insurance, where we basically provide access of crop insurance to non-loany farmers. These are basically farmers who don't have access to insurance automatically because they don't have a KCC or a crop loan, which enables instant access or automatic access under the government program in case of loany farmers. Having said that, over the last 2 years, we have actually made a conscious effort, and we believe that we are a rural insurance player rather than just a crop insurance player. So, and in that sense, what we've also done is we have diversified. Apart from the government crop insurance program that we work with, we also work on customized parametric crop insurance programs. We have started working in doing motor insurance. We also work with livestock insurance. We've done health insurance. I think our journey into life insurance is in its nascent stage, but that journey also continues. In terms of health and life insurance, as you were mentioning, right? Everybody in India, I would say, should have a health insurance and a life insurance cover. I think if you are consistently taking the cover over a period of time, the question is, generally, it is always a question of a matter of time, right? Because some medical emergency or the other is something that we have seen increasing. The instances of medical emergencies coming into play, we have seen increasing instances of that. In my experience, I would say term life insurance is something that would be the most appropriate product, because it's a pure risk transfer product. However, what we see in rural areas is generally a money back indemnity product that people work with. That's what we have generally observed. Similarly, in terms of I would say health insurance, at the bottom of the pyramid we have Ayushma Bharat, which provides some kind of insurance cover. At the other end, there are also employers who provide insurance to their employees, but there is still around 30 to 35% of the Indian population with no access to health insurance. Again, there I would say the regulator actually came out with a product called as Arogya Sanjeevani. It is a standardized product that has been created to avoid confusion, and all insurance companies ideally offer this product. The good thing about this product is slightly better in terms of the coverages that it provides, and it ensure that there is no confusion in the minds of the customer as to what coverage is being provided. And I would say that this is one product that everybody should be looking at. Similarly, when you look at institutions and organizations which are working in rural areas, any group-based product that they could look at, which is on a B2B2C or a B2B2F mode, that is something that would add a lot of value in terms of the health insurance scenario as well.
Okay, that's interesting that, maybe, institutions can step in to kind of fill that gap. But another thing that I was just wondering, and you would be in a better position, of course, to clarify on this, that if we talk about health insurance, like you also mentioned that some amount of health insurance has been kind of, propagated in the rural areas. But what about, when it comes to health insurance, we immediately think of hospitalization, right?
Yeah.
But in a lot of far-flung areas, perhaps the reach to hospital, the whole thing of having those network hospitals in line where you can actually get kind of your treatment, and so how's that challenge, how's that gap kind of being filled, and what is being done on that aspect?
Right. So, very relevant question. Insurance is a two-way street, right? In the first instance, we basically have this whole activity related to collection of premium. On the other hand, the settlement of claims is as crucial, if not more crucial, an activity as compared to collection of premiums, because unless we are able to provide a good service to the end consumer and build the trust, with the consumer, I would say that any effort that we make towards mainstreaming insurance penetration is going to face a lot of headwind. And very specifically with respect to health insurance, this whole issue of the availability of network hospitals. I think healthcare infrastructure in India is itself a challenge, right? And it was established, and that is something that we saw during COVID also. That
Completely.
there's a lot of stress on the infrastructure, and I think when you look at rural areas, I think the infrastructure challenge is even more steeper. Having said that, from an insurance perspective, there are two ways to address this. In the first instance, we have seen that insurance companies and third-party administrators are now leveraging their presence and reaching out to hospitals in the rural areas also. So some insurance companies who have worked in the Ayushman Bharat program, for example, they are leveraging their networks who are up, or they are leveraging the network that was created through their Ayushman Bharat initiative. There are some insurance entities who have banks as partners, and they are leveraging their bank network to create the first level of connect with hospitals in their areas. And similarly, I would say the third part is where people also grow their networks alongside, say, financial institutions or other partners with whom they have created a health insurance product in the first place. So these are two or three ways, and I've been personally speaking to a lot of health insurance companies over the past years, and we have seen this shift of better network coverages coming into play. The other way of looking at it is, or the other solution here is looking at a alternate product category. And this is something where there is a lot of innovation happening over the past couple of years. What I mean is a benefit health insurance program or a product. And to kind of give you an illustration, there is a benefit health insurance product is nothing but a product which will respond on the event of a, or on the at the instance of an event happening. So for example, if I have a coronary heart disease and I suffer a heart attack, and if I have a heart attack benefit insurance policy, it will release a fixed claim amount as soon as the event triggers. So the insurance company will then not wait for saying to analyze what were my bills, what was the amount duration of hospitalization. I will automatically get access to the claim money immediately on the event triggering. And I think this is one area which has seen significant growth, especially in the tier 2 and the tier 3 and the tier 4 and rural areas, because this basically does not require a network hospital. It just requires a hospital to be there and for the person to be hospitalized, giving them access to a claim amount which can come in handy for them to kind of tide over the financial challenge that they might be facing because of the medical emergency. So I would say this is another way of looking at it, where you say the product contour itself changes to take care of the issue that you face in indemnity products where the hospital network might not be there.
Yeah, so defined benefit plans is perhaps what you're talking about. And
Yes.
but the thing is that defined benefit also has its challenges. Like if I'm in a far-flung area and there is no hospital, though I understand that that is the best that you can do from your side, because if there
Right.
are no hospitals, hospitals cannot be set up overnight. But
Right.
those challenges still remain. But what do you think is the uptake of these kind of personal insurance policies? By personal, I mean where the policies that cater to the individual or the family instead of the work life. Again, I'll come back to health. or life, you're saying, is still in a very nascent stage. But do you think there is a future of its uptake, or is there already something that you're seeing going?
So to answer your question, again, I will go back to my experiences with GramCover over the last couple of years. We have seen that when we are able to reach out to the end consumer and create the first level of awareness, and we work with a lot of bite-sized products. Okay, so we have a personal accident product which is as low as 35 rupees, of premium. We have a hospicash product where we work with as low as 200 rupees or 300 rupees of premium. So we have seen a lot of acceptance for these bite-sized products. I would say that in terms of medical insurance or health insurance per se, which are indemnity products, I think the journey is still larger or longer, especially because of the problem that you mentioned, right? For a lot of rural areas, there is no access to hospital in the first place. So when you go and talk about a medical insurance product and say, if you are hospitalized, you will kind of, get this benefit. The question is, we don't have a hospital here. So, and, so what are you talking about? So I would say that, that journey is longer. Having said that, because of COVID, especially now, there is a ask for these kind of products because people realize that it is not just about small kind of medical events. When there is a medical emergency, right, it is like a coronary heart disease or some kind of a major illness happening, COVID for example, then what happens is that they will move from their rural home or their place to probably the taluka center or to the block level center where there is a hospital network or there is a hospital at least, and then they get treated. So I would say that with this now there is more amenability to kind of looking at health insurance as a risk transfer solution. But otherwise you are right, historically when we talk about health insurance, the general question is, we don't really see any hospital in our area. What's the benefit of having a health insurance cover in the first place? But I believe that this will slowly and surely, as people get more aware, both in terms of health insurance as well as in terms of life insurance, and COVID has definitely played a role of a catalyst there. We believe that these products will get more acceptability from the rural consumer as well.
And do you think Ayushman Bharat will really have a role to play in this? I mean, because that is really something that may have a larger reach than other kinds of insurance.
So Ayushman Bharat has been around, for a couple of years now. There was earlier also a program known as the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, which was obviously run again by the state government and the central governments. Right. And I think that for the target population that it works with, I think the government does have a role to play in kind of reaching out and providing the first level of insurance. There is also this ongoing talk about extending this to the missing middle. So as I was mentioning, approximately 30 to 35% of India's population still, which is almost around 42 crore people, has no access to insurance. And I think there is this ongoing talk about also seeing if Ayushman Bharat can, be the insurance program of choice for these guys as well. So I would say that, for the target population that they are working with, obviously, Ayushman Bharat has a role to play. And it takes different forms. So in certain cases, the state government plays the role of the insurance entity also, and it kind of works more on a benefit kind of a program where the government steps in and pays the hospitals for whatever expenses they have made. In certain instances, the state government takes a call and works on the insurance program. So in either of the form, I think Ayushman Bharat is here to stay, and it will have a role to play in the coming years. Also for the other or for the missing middle, as well as for the probably the slightly more affluent class who are not covered under this Ayushman Bharat, I would say that customized health insurance programs, which vary from low ticket size covers to high ticket size covers, I think those will play an increasing role as there is more and more awareness.
Okay, that's very relevant, Dhyanesh, that low ticket size will definitely have a role to play, especially in rural areas. To sum up the discussion, what are the next steps that you think will help you overcome the challenges?
Right. So I think at GramCover, we started our journey in FY18. We have seen 3 or 4 years where we have seen exponential growth. And as we go to the next level, kind of, moving towards a more rural centric platform, I think some of the key challenges that we are looking at is the scale up of our partner network. Obviously, in the next few years, I think we have a first mover advantage and we would like to build on top of it. The second is the increasing the number of products that we can offer. So one of the challenges that we mentioned earlier for rural India was the right set of products for our rural consumers. And I think we are building towards kind of getting more and more products for the rural consumer, whether it is crop insurance, customized crop insurance, livestock insurance, motor insurance, health insurance, all of it. The third is improving the experience of our customers as well as our point of sale partners, to kind of ensure that the business that we are kind of into of providing insurance access and risk transfer solutions, we are able to build that in a sustainable manner. And fourth, which is the most important, is creating significant and sustainable livelihood opportunities for our partners. So I think these are four broad areas where I think we will be focusing a lot in the years to come, and really addressing these through the three pillars of technology, teams, and processes, so to say.
Okay. Great to have you on this summit, Dhyanesh, and thank you so much for your time and to be with us and have this very important discussion on rural insurance as well, which is often ignored and not given enough focus. Thanks a lot for joining us. Good day.
Thank you, Nidhi, for having me on the